Some voices don't fade with time. They don't soften. They don't blur into, maybe it wasn't that bad. They stay sharp, like a blade you keep touching just to confirm it's real. I was halfway through my shift at a motel front desk in a town nobody visits unless their car breaks down, when I heard it. A man's laugh. Not loud, not dramatic, just familiar in a way that made my stomach drop before my brain caught up. I kept my eyes on the register, like it had suddenly become the most important object in the universe, because if I looked up and I was wrong, then I was paranoid. But if I looked up and I was right, then I was dead. Then he said it. Not the name printed on my badge, not the name on my lease, not the name on my bank account. My real name. Maris. My lungs forgot how to work. My fingers went numb on the countertop. I didn't even think, how did you find me? The first thought that hit me was simpler and colder. I should have stayed dead. I forced myself to look up, because pretending not to hear is how you get cornered. The man sitting in the lobby chair wasn't my husband, not Carter. But he had the same kind of calm in his face, that lazy confidence that says he's already decided how this ends. Clean haircut, plain jacket, forgettable features, until he smiled. Then he stopped being forgettable. He stood up slowly, like he didn't want to spook an animal. "It's been a long time," he said, as if we were old friends. "I don't know you," I managed, but my voice betrayed me. It came out too thin, too careful. He tilted his head. His eyes flicked to my name tag. "Leah Mercer," he read. "That's you?" I nodded, because not answering is a kind of answer. He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "You don't have to do this here. I'm not the police." He slid a business card across the counter. The letters were simple, professional. Gideon Strake, Investigations. I didn't pick it up. I stared at it like it might bite. "Your husband has been looking for you a long time," he said. My throat tightened. "I don't have a husband." His mouth twitched. "Right. Of course. Listen, he's not asking me to drag you back. He says he wants closure. He says he wants to talk." Closure. That word always sounded gentle until you heard it used as a weapon. "And if you don't," Gideon continued, "he'll tell everyone you faked your death." There it was. Not a reunion, not forgiveness, not relief that I was alive. A cage door swinging open again. "You've made a mistake," I whispered. Gideon's eyes stayed on mine, steady and almost bored. "I don't think so." He turned toward the exit, then paused as if he remembered something. "One more thing," he said. "If you run again, he'll keep paying people like me. And eventually, you'll get tired. People always do." Then he walked out, leaving the lobby quieter than before, but somehow louder in my head, because now every sound felt like a threat. The hum of the vending machine, the buzz of the lights, the distant traffic that never stopped. I waited until his car disappeared, then locked the front door early, flipped the sign to "Back Soon," and went into the small office behind the desk. I threw up into the trash can, shaking so hard my knees hit the cabinet. When it finally passed, I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand and stared at my reflection in the dark computer screen. Leah Mercer looked like a woman who had survived something. But underneath Leah's hair dye and thrift store clothes and careful posture, Maris Halden was still there, and Maris remembered exactly why she had died. Before I became Leah, I was Maris Halden, living in St. Augustine in a white house with blue shutters that looked like a postcard. I had 2 kids, my daughter Ivy and my son Rowan, and a husband everyone admired. His name was Carter Halden, and Carter wasn't just charming. Carter was strategic charming. He could walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with favors, phone numbers, and loyalty he hadn't earned. He worked in public safety consulting, which meant he knew cops, judges, local politicians, people who could make problems disappear. For a while, I thought I was lucky. He remembered anniversaries. He brought flowers. He would put his hand at the small of my back in public like he was proud to be seen with me. Everyone called him devoted, protective, a good father. They didn't understand that his hand was never affection. It was a steering wheel. After Ivy was born, Carter began collecting permissions from me like coins. It started small. "Text me when you get there. The world's crazy." Then it became, "Why didn't you answer? I called twice." Then, "Who was that?" Then, "Let me see your phone." He didn't ask it like a request. He asked it like a rule we'd supposedly agreed on. And I, like so many women, kept searching for the version of him I married, like he was a lost object I could recover if I tried hard enough. I told myself it was stress, new parent fear, a rough patch that would pass if I stayed calm and didn't trigger him. When Rowan was born, the rough patch became the weather. Constant. Inescapable. Carter started rewriting reality. He'd say something cruel, then deny he said it. He'd break something, then insist I did. He'd corner me in the kitchen with a calm voice and eyes so cold I could feel it in my teeth. And later at dinner with friends, he'd say, almost sadly, "Maris has anxiety. She gets confused. It's been hard." And people nodded because Carter sounded reasonable, and I sounded tired. And tired women aren't believed. The first time I realized I was in real danger was not the first time he grabbed me or shoved me or slammed a door close enough to my face that the air moved. It was the first time I suggested something normal, something healthy, and he responded like a man who'd been waiting for the excuse. I told him I wanted to go back to work. I had a degree in accounting. I missed using my brain for something besides managing fear. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just looked at me the way you look at a bug on the wall. "If you leave this house for a job," he said softly, "I'll make sure you never see them again." I laughed once, sharp and disbelieving, because the sentence was too insane to be real. But then Carter smiled, and inside that smile was the truth. He wasn't threatening me. He was promising me. That night, after he went to bed, I opened an old laptop and created a private folder. I didn't name it something dramatic. I didn't write poetry. I didn't keep a diary. I collected evidence, dates, screenshots, recordings, photos of bruises taken in bathroom light at 2 a.m., because that was the only time I was alone. I named the folder the Revenge File, not because I wanted to hurt him, not then. At first, it was just a way to stay sane, proof that I wasn't imagining it, proof that reality existed outside his version of it. And then, the house caught fire. Not the whole house, just the laundry room. The official report said faulty wiring, an electrical issue. But I knew better, because Carter had sent the kids to his sister's that afternoon and insisted I stay home. "You've been tired," he said casually. "Rest today." The smoke alarm screamed. Heat crawled down the hallway like something alive. I ran to the back door and found it stuck. Not jammed, locked, from the outside. I don't remember thinking clearly. I remember my hands on the knob, the useless rattle, the panic that turned my vision into tunnel. I remember breaking a window, crawling through shards, the sting in my palms, the air outside feeling like drowning in relief. A neighbor called 911. Carter arrived later, frantic and theatrical, grabbing my shoulders like a hero and shouting instructions to paramedics like he'd been trained for crisis. When firefighters asked questions, Carter answered for me. "She's been forgetful lately," he said with careful concern. "She leaves things running. I've been worried." At the hospital, I stared at the ceiling and understood something with terrifying clarity. Carter had tried a small murder first, a test, a rehearsal, and now that he'd learned he could shape the story, he would try again. That's what people never want to hear. They want an obvious villain. They want screaming, obvious bruises, a single dramatic moment. But Carter was not dramatic. Carter was patient. Carter didn't want to get caught. Carter wanted to win. I didn't disappear the way it looks in movies. There was no genius montage. There was only a moment when my body finally agreed with my brain. If I stay, my children will grow up visiting my grave. I asked for help quietly through a local community advocate who worked with women escaping high-control relationships. She didn't gasp. She didn't ask why I hadn't left sooner. She looked at my hands, bandaged from the glass, and said, "We'll do this carefully." My old life became a sealed box. I left behind furniture, photos, clothes, the kitchen table where I used to cut grapes into quarters for Ivy. I left my wedding ring on the dresser like a dead thing. But I did not leave my evidence. The revenge file came with me. I reappeared in New Mexico, in a town where the sky is so wide it makes you feel small, in a way that felt like relief instead of humiliation. I became Leah Mercer. I rented a room behind a bakery owned by a woman named Jo, who didn't ask questions she didn't need answered. I washed sheets at a motel. I learned which streets were safe at night. I learned to sit with my back to a wall. I learned how to breathe without flinching every time a man raised his voice. But you don't stop being a mother just because you're missing. Every time I saw a child's backpack, my chest tightened. Every time I heard a little boy laugh like Rowan used to, my knees went weak. I counted birthdays like a prisoner carving days into stone. I wrote letters I could never send. I recorded a message once, then deleted it, terrified of leaving a digital trail. And Carter? Carter became a saint. He told everyone his wife died from smoke complications. He held a candlelight vigil. He started a family safety nonprofit. He stood on stages and talked about protecting women and children. People cried. People donated. People praised him for turning tragedy into purpose. I watched from the shadows and felt something shift in me. Fear was still there, living in my ribs like a second skeleton. But something else grew alongside it, a steady, sharp promise. I didn't want revenge that would ruin me. I didn't want violence. I didn't want a headline that made my children ashamed of me. I wanted revenge that revealed him. So I kept building my file. Receipts, screenshots, public filings, old emails, patterns. Because predators don't change, they scale. Then Gideon walked into my lobby, said my real name, and told me Carter was coming for me. I sat at the office computer and opened the revenge file. And I stopped thinking like a woman who was running. I started thinking like a woman who was done. Carter expected me to panic, to flee, to make a mistake, because that's the advantage he'd always had. He could wait while I exhausted myself. So I didn't run. I did something Carter never respected. I used the system, but on my terms. I didn't call a journalist. Carter could spin a journalist. He could cry. He could perform grief. He could weaponize public opinion like he always had. Instead, I contacted someone Carter couldn't charm, a federal auditor. Because Safe Harbor Families, Carter's nonprofit, had grown too fast, and fast money always leaves fingerprints. I sent an anonymous package, no return address. Inside were copies of public filings, highlighted, a clean timeline showing where money moved, screenshots of donations and vendor payments, and one thing that mattered most, a recorded voicemail from years ago, back when I was still trapped. Carter's voice, calm and smiling. "You don't leave me, Maris. You don't leave anything of mine." I didn't ask the auditor for revenge. I asked for scrutiny. And scrutiny is poison to men like Carter. 3 days later, my burner phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I knew before I opened it. I knew the way prey knows a shadow. The first message read, "I know where you sleep. Meet me alone. Bring your ID. No games." The second message arrived 30 seconds later. "If you call anyone, I'll make sure Ivy and Rowan learn what kind of mother you really are." That was how I knew I was right. Not because he threatened me. Carter had always threatened me, but because he used my children like weapons. A man who truly missed his wife wouldn't lead with blackmail. He'd lead with relief. Carter led with leverage, so I made a plan that didn't rely on hope. I made a plan that relied on documentation. I told Jo the truth, not every detail, but enough. I expected shock, judgment, distance. Instead, she looked at me steadily and said, "Tell me what you need." I needed cameras, witnesses, a controlled environment where Carter couldn't isolate me, so I agreed to meet him, but not alone and not quietly. I chose a place with security cameras on every corner, where people came and went all day, and nobody would be surprised by tension. A bank. Carter walked into the lobby like he owned the air. He looked better than I expected, healthy, polished. That's what predators do when they're thriving. They glow. His eyes met mine, and my body tried to shrink out of habit, tried to become the small woman he trained me to be. But I didn't. I stared back. "Maris," he said softly, like my name belonged to him. I didn't answer. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so the world wouldn't hear the real him. "Do you know what you've done to our children?" There it was. Not, "Where have you been?" Not, "Are you okay?" Straight to guilt, straight to control. "I know what you did," I said. His smile thinned. "You think anyone's going to believe you?" I glanced upward, just slightly, toward the security cameras. Carter followed my eyes and paused. Just a fraction of a second, a crack in his confidence. Then he leaned in, smile returning, and whispered the truth like a secret he was proud of. "I can ruin you. I can ruin you in court. I can ruin you online. I can make you a monster." I leaned in too, close enough to see the tiny pulse jump at his jaw. "You already tried to make me a corpse." His eyes flashed, anger, quick and ugly, then smoothed into that polished mask. "Careful," he said. That one word was the old Carter, the real Carter, the man behind the nonprofit brochures. And the cameras above us drank it in. I slid a folder across the table. Not my whole file, just enough to let him see the outline of the knife. He opened it. His face changed. A flicker of panic, tiny but real. Inside were bank statements tying nonprofit spending to personal accounts. A timeline of vendor payments that matched his vacations, screenshots of donor messages asking questions and getting blocked, and a printed notice that said what he feared most: audit initiated. He looked up at me, voice low. "What did you do?" "I stopped begging the world to save me," I said. Carter closed the folder slowly, like he could shut reality by shutting paper. "You think this makes you safe?" he asked. "It makes me dangerous," I said, and I meant it. For the first time in years, Carter didn't have a response ready. He stood up, smile gone. "You're still mine," he said quietly. "Dead or alive." Then he walked away. But he'd already lost, because men like Carter can only win in silence, and I had just turned the volume up. The audit became an investigation. The investigation became subpoenas. And subpoenas don't care about charm. Carter tried to spin it publicly. He said it was harassment. He said it was a misunderstanding. He said it was politically motivated. But numbers don't misunderstand. Bank records don't get confused. Paper trails don't respond to tears. Then something happened I didn't expect. A woman I'd never met contacted the investigator after local news mentioned the nonprofit's finances. She said she used to work for Carter. She said he made her sign an NDA for office culture issues. She attached photos of bruises. Another woman came forward, then another, and the story that formed wasn't about a grieving husband who built a foundation out of love. It was about a man who built a brand out of control. Eventually, the system did what it always does once the optics change. It looked at the children. Child Services called me. I expected judgment. I expected handcuffs. I expected someone to say, "So you're the mother who abandoned them." Instead, the caseworker spoke carefully. "We're going to need to verify who you are," she said, "and we're going to need to talk about reintroduction." Reintroduction. A clinical word that doesn't capture the terror of imagining your children's faces when they realize you're alive, when they realize you left, when they realize the world lied to them. But I agreed, because I didn't come back for revenge alone. I came back for them. The meeting happened in a therapist's office with soft chairs and neutral walls. Ivy was 10, Rowan was 7. They walked in holding hands like they were the ones protecting each other. Carter wasn't there. He wasn't allowed. When Ivy saw me, her face didn't light up. It didn't soften. It hardened, like her heart was putting on armor. "You're not real," she said, voice shaking. "I'm real," I whispered, and my throat burned around the words. Rowan hid behind Ivy's shoulder and peeked at me like I was a stranger. I didn't rush them. I didn't cry dramatically. I didn't turn it into a scene. The therapist had warned me, children need safety more than speeches, so I told the truth in small pieces. I didn't leave because I didn't want you, I said. I left because I was scared I wouldn't live. Ivy's eyes filled fast, furious. Dad said you didn't love us. That wasn't true, I said. That was never true. Rowan's voice came out like a whisper. Are you going to disappear again? That question carried years of fear inside it. It was the real cost of survival. I shook my head. No, I said. I'm here. And I will keep showing up, even if you're mad, even if you don't want to talk. I'll keep showing up. Ivy stared at me for a long time, then said the most childlike, devastating thing. If you're my mom, what's my favorite candy? I blinked because it felt like a test and a lifeline at the same time. Sour gummies, I said softly. The ones that make your cheeks hurt. Her face trembled. Rowan took a step forward, then stopped. I didn't reach, I didn't grab, I just stayed still and present, because I had learned the hard way that love without safety feels like another kind of danger. Carter fought like a man who'd never heard the word no and didn't plan to learn it. He hired lawyers. He went on local news. He cried on camera. He said I was unstable. He said I was lying. He said I was having a breakdown. But then the bank records entered the public record, then the vendor testimonies, then the emails recovered through forensics, then a former board member admitted Carter controlled everything. And then Carter made the mistake men like him always make when they think they're untouchable. He stopped using intermediaries. He contacted me directly, not through lawyers, not through court, but through a message that sounded exactly like the man I remembered. You took my life. Now I'll take yours. That message turned a financial case into a safety case. A judge signed an order. Carter was arrested on charges tied to fraud and on separate charges connected to witness intimidation. The man who built a brand on family safety was walked out in handcuffs. The cameras flashed. His smile didn't show up this time. People think endings feel like fireworks. People think revenge tastes sweet. But real endings taste quieter. They taste like relief. Therapy appointments, school drop-offs, new locks on doors, hard conversations at the dinner table. Ivy didn't forgive me quickly. Some nights I'd hear her crying behind her bedroom door, angry tears that had nowhere to go. Rowan clung to me like he was afraid I'd evaporate if he let go, and I let it all be true. What I did saved us, and it hurt them, so I didn't try to erase their pain. I didn't demand forgiveness. I didn't try to make myself the hero of their story. I outlasted it. I stayed. Week after week, I became consistent. The one thing Carter could never counterfeit. Months later, on a Sunday morning, Ivy came into the kitchen while I was making pancakes. She watched me flip one, then said quietly, "Dad always burned them." I froze with the spatula in my hand. I didn't ask questions. I didn't make it a moment. I just nodded. "I'm trying not to," I said. She sat at the table. Rowan climbed into his chair, and for the first time, it felt less like a reunion and more like a life. Because the real revenge wasn't that Carter lost. The real revenge was that we kept living, that we kept breathing, that we kept building ordinary mornings out of the rubble he left behind. And that every time I heard laughter now, real laughter, my children's laughter, I knew something Carter would never accept. I wasn't his story anymore. He was just a file, and it was closed.